Welcome to episode 11 of the Monday Mourning podcast. Today, we're talking about existentialism, the meaning of life, the afterlife, God, Patrick Swayze, and whether any of the above are real or matter at all.
Welcome.
We're back and better than ever.
Big.
Kind
wow.
of. I don't know.
We're bigger.
That's a
We're bigger
heavy
at least.
statement.
Bigger at least. Did you
Bigger.
know?
I know. I'm sorry to already go into the dark depths here.
Well, now
Further
our
along.
viewer base, what has it reached? It's reached 20 countries with that big upswing in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. We have a billion listeners at least.
Yeah.
Shout out
yeah.
Philippines.
It's true. It's true, Philippines. Anyways, this episode is dedicated to the Philippines.
Yeah. Who are we?
Listeners. I'm Harry, and my name is that, and
Oh, okay.
my father died on January 5th, 2017 of, like, there was just a lot of internet lag between his will to live and his body. And so, like, the connection interrupted, and then he had stage 4 metastatic cancer that turned his little lungies into pneumonia cancer wads. And the
Wasn't so static, huh?
yeah, it was jumping around. It was jumping around by the end of things.
Jumping around.
A
Hi,
lot of
Harry.
energy.
Hey.
I'm Gabby. My mom died September 3rd, 2016. Best day ever. And how did she die? I'd like to think that she kind of she got like uploaded to the cloud, as we've talked about before, I think. Maybe that's just me and Harry, I don't know. I like to think that Zucky kind of just uploaded her hologram to the cloud and she's just infinite.
Wait, what's the Facebook cloud? Just like the food bank?
I don't.
Face bank? I'm sorry.
I don't know. Is that?
This
I
is
don't
your
know if that's
story.
a thing.
This is your
Space.
story.
Is it real?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Not that I know of, good
I
God.
wouldn't be surprised if Zucky had his own cloud.
Listen, we're against Zucky,
It's
but
Mars.
if he buys our ideas, then this podcast is going way past the Philippines. But go on. I'm so sorry about your mom.
Totally,
though. I'm
totally,
so sorry
totally.
about your mom.
No,
though. That was my bad.
that's
Hey,
not it.
Gabby. So sorry. So sorry about your mom.
It's all good.
Your mom, who is my mom. So my name is
Segue.
Madison. Segue. I'm Madison, and my mother is Gabby's mother. So she too died September 3rd, 2016. She died, but she lives on in my cookies that I refuse to clear because her Facebook page is still up. So I feel like she's still alive sometimes when I visit that thing.
I didn't know
Yeah,
we were
totally.
still in the metaphor. So I was like,
I thought you just like shat out a bunch of cookies.
yeah, no, I
at
thought you were
first. I
making
don't
some
know.
chalky ass mommy cookies, like the mommy
Oh,
bong,
yeah.
but like cookies. But yeah, sorry about your mom
Yeah.
though. Also sorry about your same mom. Yeah,
Sorry about
It's
your
okay.
stupid same mom.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just
no,
kidding.
I see why you would think that I eat cookies in my mom's memory and then just refuse to shit them out because it's like she's living on inside of me. I get it. I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah. We're on the same page.
We're bigger
Anyways,
and
no,
better
I
and
meant-
full of cookies, like to the brim.
Yeah,
'cause-
full of
Yeah.
cookies. Full of cookies.
Anyway, what are we talking about today, Cookies?
Cookies, what are we talking about?
cookies.
Harry, maybe you should explain this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna dive right in. Today we are talking about the philosophy of meaning and self-constructed meaning, and
Boo.
what meaning there is in the world. So we're gonna talk about existentialism, which is sort of the main daddy in this snake of thoughts. And then absurdism and nihilism. So I studied philosophy, and they didn't teach this. They didn't teach anything interesting. But this Wikipedia page taught me everything I know. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not a philosophy
concur.
major, but Wikipedia just, they gave me a little degree today when I did a little research on our friends that I don't know how to pronounce their names. None of us really do.
JP and Camus.
JP
and Camus. It's our new cover band.
Jean-Paul.
Jean-Paul.
But yeah.
So what were
where
the
should we start,
impressions? Give me a couple impressions from the assigned reading.
Okay. I actually, okay, can you maybe just like can you summarize their philosophy? Because I want to hear it in your words.
Okay, gotcha. For the
Okay,
listeners,
yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
for
the
the
first
listeners,
time.
too.
For the listeners.
This
For
is
the
the first
Philippines.
time we've assigned each other homework, so I didn't tell Gabby and Maddie this, but I am actually doing concurrently a little treasure hunt to see if they did indeed read it. So listeners, play along.
What?
What?
We are placing bets on our Patreon. We're doing a bracket. Gabby read the most.
Yeah,
Maddie
the
read the
tournament.
most. Please, $200 a ticket. So
Price gouge.
existentialism and absurdism and nihilism both deal with the question, or all three deal with the question of meaning, and in particular, the status or existence of meaning in the universe, meaning in the world, as it were. And then a little voice crack. And then it gets really scary. From here on. And then meaning in the essence of one owns pursuits, or one owns pursuits and existence, and whether there's anything to be done, or what one should do, or if meaning is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So little overview is
Yeah.
existentialism differs between sort of theistic and non-theistic existentialism, with God or without God. So monotheistic existentialism is one where there is meaning in the universe, but only through some kind of relationship with God. So the pursuit of meaning has meaning. You can make meaning, and it has to incorporate God. And there's atheistic existentialism, which says the universe is not meaningful, but you can create your own meaning, and indeed that's the only meaning there is. And the pursuit of that meaning itself has meaning. And then there's absurdism, which says there is no meaning in the universe, just like atheistic existentialism says there's no meaning in the universe. And in essence, we are meaning-seeking animals, okay?
Yeah.
So we're always going to be seeking meaning, yet there is no meaning in the universe. It's all random or unorchestrated or something like that. So the absurd is what rises out of that. And I, for one, I like absurdism, but we'll get into it. The absurd then is the ineffable sort of contradiction that is searching for meaning in a meaningless word. And we can talk about it, but Camus, Big Camus, little C, he finds that there are three different ways of accepting this, and he ultimately vies for accepting the absurd and then living in defiance of it. And then nihilism is there's no meaning, you can't make meaning, there's no God to make meaning with, there's no resolution to life, and existence is ultimately without value. So that's nihilism, where
Okay, yeah.
it's like...
That's a great summarization. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was... I did read it, but
I read it.
appreciate the review.
Gabby and I read it together, actually.
Listeners, your votes are coming in now, and we're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
counting. Gabby has asked us to stop counting the vote. No, sorry.
Oh,
I demand a recount.
wow. This is topical.
Uh-oh.
Anyway,
Oh, God.
no, we did read it.
Grinchy
and
grumps.
actually, the first thing, or one of the first things I did after I read it was I individually researched these two men. And what I found was this is Mr. Jean-Paul S. I don't know his last name. And Camus.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they both have dead daddy disease.
Really?
Both of their dads
Triple
died
D.
when they were like 1 or 2 years old, and then they both lived through World War II. So they have a very like cynical stance, which is reasonable. I mean, hello. This is the podcast for the Dead Daddy Club.
Boom, didn't know
but-
that. Hammer draw.
Yeah, so I immediately saw that and I was like, all right, I get you guys a little bit more because I don't necessarily agree with either of these things. I find aspects of each of them interesting and applicable to what I believe in, but I don't fully, honestly, I was getting a little annoyed. I was getting a little bit annoyed reading about it because I don't know why, but like, maybe it's just like an issue, like an authority issue, but I hate when like, I'm like, no, don't tell me what to think. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, I don't need to agree with your theory. And obviously this means nothing because these men are dead and like, I don't need to even apply this to my life. But I got weirdly defensive where I was like, don't tell me what to think, Camus. So I don't know what that says about
Okay,
me.
that is. I want to really just sort of grab a couple nails and hammer into that later. Okay, Maddie, what are your general impressions? Voters?
I didn't research either man, but Gabby told me about
Grade A student.
her findings, which I agree makes sense. Thought-provoking stuff. I also don't necessarily, I flip-flop. I agree with aspects of really all of the theories. I really liked the bad faith piece of existentialism, which from my understanding is like if you have bad faith, it's like if you are stuck in a situation, you believe that that's all it will ever be, kind of, or like your present moment is all that. Is this right track?
Yeah, it's like how I took it was like free will. It's like you have the choice to be conscious about your actions, and it was really I noticed it was really like harping on like responsible action and moral action.
Right.
And like that was the big thing.
And if you're bad faith, it's like you don't believe that you have the choice to do anything you want. You can change, you can, if you're stuck in a job, you can quit the job. Like you're not just stuck in that job. You're not the job. That job isn't going to define you for the rest of your life. I don't know. I agree with that. They're just like, I kind of have a problem with the whole God thing. I don't know. I'm a part of like a faithy type of group. Like Al-Anon is like a spiritual group. I'm not supposed to plug that on any platforms, but I find a lot of healing and peace in it. If anyone that's listening, Philippines, if you know anyone that's an alcoholic, it's a great group.
Also a guy in Egypt, so if he needs it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't mean to neglect you, Egypt. But anyways, like that's like a faith. It's not faith-based. Like it's not like God, but it's like higher power. Like
it's God as you understand it, right?
Yeah,
That's what
God
they say.
as you understand him. And like a lot of people are very like anti-God, in the group. But it's just like finding healing through like a higher power. And I think that is... I don't know. I don't really know where that fits in with like these theories because like I think... you create your own God in a way, like you create your own higher power. So I don't know if I'm necessarily like monotheistic existentialist or atheistic existentialist. Like because I don't really believe in like a God or necessarily like a higher power, but like I believe that like you define that. So whatever it is for you. I don't know.
Okay.
I have a lot of thoughts, I guess.
I also thought to go off of bad faith, I wrote this down because I thought it was interesting that he says bad faith when the whole thing is like kind of anti-God. So I just thought it was a contradiction to use the word faith in his theory or his philosophy when it's like supposed to be like excluding God, kind of. Is that right? I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like there were some contradictions I read. Like obviously I didn't read like that much. Like I read kind of like summaries about his stuff, but like, okay, because they mention, well, maybe we should, Harry, what do you think? Let's circle to you, and I have a lot of thoughts.
Philosophies.
Okay, well, yeah, I think I've always been really attracted to this stuff because it's interesting to rationally discuss things like, is there a meaning? Because I think a lot of life for me is spent sort of mulling about whether there is a meaning to life at all. And And of course, I'm still really fun at parties, but it has distracted me for a long time. Yeah, and the bad faith thing is interesting. I think bad faith generally is when, like, to use an example, like leaving your job. Like you mentioned earlier, Maddie, like bad faith is being like at the job and being like, I could never leave this job. Like something like bad will happen. I need this job. Like it'll be fine. Like even though it's like worse for your life. So you have this bad faith that is, like the badness of the faith is predicated on like ignoring like the full set of facts available to you. And yeah, I think that they would call, I might be wrong about this, but like an atheist might call it bad faith to believe in God at all. Like it would be an avoidance of the facts. And yeah, there's a few. Yeah, we should talk more about bad faith, but I think just to start at the beginning, like, do you believe that there is meaning, whether it is to be made or if it is endowed upon you with something beyond you or behind? Like, do you think there is meaning in the world?
Yes, I don't think it's complex, but I think like I've kind of been having like not a revelation, but I've been shifting my kind of like spiritual perspective recently into a more like monotheistic state almost. Not that I don't believe in a God or follow like organized religion, but I do find myself like having faith nonetheless in like the universe or like things beyond me, because I think I think this is why I was getting a little annoyed when I was reading these philosophies, is because it seems really selfish to me, in the sense that it's like, when we're all gonna die. It's like, yeah, well, make the best of it. I don't know. Like, I feel like my mind state is not like, I don't think things are nullified by death, like these theories say, or like absurdism at least. But yeah, I think there's meaning in the fact that like we're even existing, I guess. Like I think existence and life is like spiritual, and it is the purpose, and like there's not much more to it, if that makes sense. And I think of it as rather than just like a timeline of your life, like doing absurd things or whatever until you die. I think of time, we were kind of just talking about this the other night, but I think about it in terms of like dimensionality, and that time is not linear, and that we don't just go through from A to B, like birth to death. Like it's more of like timelines and dimensions, which dimensions are more vertical. This might be getting too intense, but like I don't think of, like, I just don't align with that, because I have a way more abstract way of like viewing the world, and that brings me comfort and is a type of faith to me, I guess.
So you do think there's meaning in the world?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry if this.
No. It's good. It's good.
But yes, I do think there's meaning.
Because that's a big question that it deals with. Like, is your life? Does your life have meaning if you just die? And absurdism says no. It's like life is ultimately meaningless because you die. But I was thinking about time too, and whether the meaning of your life would be just confined to this spit of flame that you're alive for. And it seems like no, if you're going through the dimensions.
Well, okay, I want to explain, because I don't want it to sound too cuckoo, but like I just think of it as like, okay, we all have heard the term like grief isn't linear, healing isn't linear, things like this, right? I think it's the same for time, because essentially like it's like, I don't know how to explain this in a better way, but I think it's like life is more than just like roaming through doing the motions and then dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's a lot we don't know about. And yes, like, this is very spiritual, like, theoretical things. And also due to a DMT experience, I will admit, that I really think there's just, like, there's a lot of fucking meaning in those things. Like, that experience had so much meaning in itself for me and really shifted the way I look at the world. So I think there's so much to be experienced that it's hard to say, like, death kind of just throws that all away, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're leveling the camera at you, voters.
Okay. My thoughts on this, is there meaning? I really don't know how to feel about this. Like, I kind of think, like, we're animals, you know, and it's like, what is meaning for, like, a cat's life or, like, another animal's life? Like, what is, like, we're no different, really, truly, than, like, any other animal or living thing on the planet, you know? So I think, like, it's, I guess, meaning, like, has evolved with us. I guess, like, meaning has changed for us. Like, I think hundreds of years ago, meaning, I don't really know how to articulate this, but I think we create our own meaning. I think that is something that we create. I think it's, like, a logical thing. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
So do you think you're more inclined to being like meaning is self-constructed? Like meaning is something that we create? Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I go back and forth in this all the time because I really, I gel with the absurd that there's this like tension between trying to make meaning in life and, you know, then it meets life and then that like really gets in the way. Just keeps throttling you. So I go back and forth because I've had some spiritual experiences where I'm like, or like one where I was like, there's, it was a really good hamburger. I was like, this, I love you. So I really do go back and forth because I've had times, or that time more specifically, where I feel in tune with a sort of timeless meaning, or that there could be one, or like brushing up against the side of it or something. But a lot of the time I do think about us as just like animals, and I'm like, we just have these crazy brains that are imagining all these things. Because I have a huge desire towards, like, I have what one might call a bad faith in like God or something, where I like sort of want to believe, but I don't really. Which is one of the ways that Albert Camus says you can deal with the absurd. It's called philosophical suicide, and it just means giving up on rationality. That's where the phrase comes from, and believing in a God, which I think does have, maybe on your point, a little, like, it does seem, I don't know, faith is an interesting thing. Like, I feel like it's easy to say something's bad faith if it can't be proven. Yeah. I don't know. So I have a lot of thoughts on these guys, but there is something absurd about life that I
totally. No, I think there definitely is. Like, I agree with the absurdity because I've experienced that feeling like many times, where I'm just like, literally, what is happening? What is the point here? But I also, I guess, I think it's just more fun to embrace the unknown. And I think, like, obviously that's kind of the root of faith, but like, I just think that adds value and like, just more like joy to my life. Like, I'd much rather be like, well, who knows? The possibilities are endless than like, I'm not a very rational person, I guess. I just love the like illusion and the like whole just, I don't know, the cosmic, like we don't fucking know what's really going on here. And I just feel like we're such a small part of a bigger puzzle that like, I don't know, but okay, this is kind of a tangent, but one thing I did think of when I read this was that I think these two dudes would really like the simulation theory because that is a way that I can kind of cope with the absurdity, I think, is that I'm just like, it's a fucking simulation. And so sometimes that becomes my higher power in a weird way. It's like, well, someone's just kind of programming all of this. So I don't really have I have choice, but like at the end of the day, it is absurd because it's a fucking simulation. So I feel like there's many different ways I think about it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm more of like I also like to, we are just little specks in the
I just like to really
things.
tell kids that, hey, come here. You're a little speck.
You're a little fucking speck.
You're a tiny little fucking speck.
You're never going to be anything more.
And that's all you're ever going to be, a speck.
That'll be $2.99.
What was I saying? Yes. We are just tiny little specks. So it's like, I think it's ludicrous for us to think so hard about this when it's like, obviously there is so much more that we just don't know and we're never going to fucking know. So yeah, kind of give in to all the possibilities. I like that. But I'm also like a person that is like pretty skeptical, and I like to like see this evidence. I like fucking empirical shit. Like I need to know exactly how and why and where and blah blah blah, so it's like it's hard for me to subscribe to anything. And also one thing about these theories is like philosophies, excuse me, like things being nullified by death. It's like I don't know, I really have no fucking clue what happens when we die. Like that's something that like I feel like the possibilities are endless, and I haven't subscribed to like a specific ending. Like I waver between like all the possibilities and then just we're dead. It's just like black darkness. But so I don't know, it's like hard for me to be like, okay, yeah, nullified by death. Like I want to buy into like absurdism, but I just don't know. I don't know. There are too many unknowns in this world.
So like because it could be something else?
Yes.
What do you want it to be, Let's kick back. We've been so serious. Let's kick back a little bit.
Let's kick back.
I'd like it to be a big...
What do I want it to be?
Ever since I was a child, I really liked the idea of reincarnation. Like,
Ooh.
what am I gonna be in the next life?
Well, yeah, it's actually kind of a spiritual theory too. Some people think that we kind of choose where we get incarnated to. So like some people think that like we have chosen the third dimensional Earth to incarnate on, and it's, kind of the toughest dimension of them all because it's like the lessons, the pain,
it's like moving to New York City.
It's a lot of things. So
wait, so some big interdimensional nerd is just he just simmed me up so he could get his squirmies on?
That could be it. But yeah, some people think you get to choose like
so
kind of where you incarnate to. I don't know what I think. What do I want it to be though? I want it to be... It's
like the Sorting Hat.
I want it to be rest and peace, honestly, more than anything. I want it to be like kind of the opposite of the human experience. Like, not
take that human
that sounded
experience.
Dark, but like,
no,
I want it to be easier, I guess. Frankly,
I want to go straight to fucking heaven, and I just want to imagine a cigarette in my mouth and a margarita in my hand, and I want those things to appear.
There you go.
I want to imagine both of you with margaritas in heaven. That's my heaven. A dark room imagining you fellas eating margaritas. You know what? I honestly, just at the root of it, I just want it to be something. Because I am scared that it's nothing. That is a fear I have. My therapist told me that out of his 10 years in therapy, I have the most existential dread he's ever seen. And so I just like put my lipstick on closely, and I was like, thanks. But yeah, I don't know. I just sort of hope it's something. But I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm sure what it is. If it's something, it's like some big black, like you're just part of some big black jelly, like throughout the whole universe, spread thin, just chilling so hard. You're like, just total like blackberry jelly.
I feel like nothing is almost more comforting than something, though, in a way.
I know.
It's nothing, so it's just finally peace. You know? I don't know. It's like I got nothing going on.
Yeah.
I cease to exist. No more thinking. No more.
Honestly, I think the worst part about death is actually just dying. I don't think the after part is bad. I think the pain you probably have to endure at the end of your life potentially is terrible. But as far as the fear of death goes, like that's what I'm scared of. I'm not scared of what happens when I'm actually dead. I'm scared of like getting cancer and being like on chemo and really fucking jacked. So
I have an irrational fear of a serial killer just like tearing me apart limb by limb.
Oh
I don't know.
God,
that'd be like the worst way to die possible.
That is terrifying, Maddie.
But I agree. I think like actually like the act of dying is pretty scary. And I think also death is like really one of the reasons death sounds so scary is because if you live long enough to see people die, then you realize how awful death is. Like I feel like grief is just a really selfish thing. I think we already discussed this, but like, you know, like we are just mourning. We're mourning and we're ruminating and we're like, we just can't let this person fucking go without, you know, just tearing ourselves new assholes. And
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. I'm mourning myself
so
more than
funny.
anyone. I'm always, because you know, this is like the first thought I had when I went up the elevator, went in the hospice room, saw my dad. I looked at him. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die!" Like it just like that was my first thought. I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna die someday," and I was like, "Ugh, that sucks." And then I looked at the guy on the table and I was like, that sucks almost as much, but still, I'm so sad that I'm gonna die. I need some juice. Roll a big tobacco. But yeah, I know that. I think it is. I think grief, like for me, in like just the word of, you know, stripped of the connotation, but it is very self-involved. It's mostly about my existence because that's what it's made me reckon with the existence that I am having, where it's like this whole thing is like, it's like there's a bull shop, and I'm like a little piece of china, and there's a lot of bulls in this pen, and I am a tiny little china,
and tiny little teacup,
and they're about to kick my tiny teacup. Gabby, thoughts?
What scares you the most about death?
Just that it's
the fact
nothing.
That you wouldn't be here?
Yeah, it freaks me out because I don't like going to sleep. Sleeping is.
Yeah, you don't.
I really don't like it. It's scary because you don't exist. You go away. I don't get it.
But
it freaks me out.
Would you rather exist in like a potentially painful life than like be dead?
Yeah, in perpetuity. Yeah.
In perpetuity.
Yeah.
Are you immortal?
Yeah, that's what I would.
Oh, okay.
I know, that's why like I don't have a lot of thoughts in my life like where I actually have like fear of like getting sick later or something. Cuz like if I get like sick, I'll be like, all right, I know that I'm going to die, you know. But I'm scared of stuff like aneurysms just like suddenly being dead.
That scares me too.
Cuz I don't like that nothing coming on. Like I feel it when I sleep and I don't like it. It's just something I've always had. I don't like the going away.
If we have any vampires listening,
we need some blood stat.
You probably noticed my pulsating neck. It looks like there's a worm going through my throat. It's hard to meet people. It's hard to meet people and vampires.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think the dead are the lucky ones. They're just like either doing whatever they do or they are dust. And that sounds peaceful to me, unless, I don't know. Yeah, unless you just kind of get sorted back into a simulation or you, I don't know. Now I'm imagining mom as like a house cat on someone's lap. I just.
Well, I just think it's like, I think the real like kind of absurdity, I guess, is like the fact that, you know, this 3D matrix reality, whatever you want to call it, is fucking all about like attachments, right? So we're like attached to items, we're attached to people, we're attached. It's kind of human nature.
That's like what our personality is based on.
It's like we're
And
covered, everything's
death-
Velcro, and we're like the little strips.
Yes,
And we're just we're jumping onto everything.
jumpsuits.
Yeah.
And
Correct. Yeah.
I think it's funny because death is like really the severing of an attachment, like forcefully. And that kind of goes against everything, like our egos and like, like we're like, no, this person is a part of me. This person made me who I am. This person, I need this person. I love this person. Why did I lose this person? Yeah. And then but it's like, that's kind of the human struggle, and death is the teacher of that. I believe it's like the teacher that like, nothing lasts forever. This is natural. This is how it goes. This is the cycle. And like, you need to get used to that. That's how I view it for myself, as a tool. And that helps me kind of accept all of our fates, my own fate, you know, like, okay, that is a lesson in letting go of attachment. And yeah, I don't know.
I just laughed there because my first thought was like, you've accepted my fate? But that's going to be so sad.
It will be fucking
Well,
sad.
I look forward to that too, because I feel like so much of this, I don't know. I feel like right now I'm a baby who does not want to be ripped from the umbilical cord. And now that I'm on to the next phase of my life, which is sort of an elongated puberty, I'm like, I'm glad that I got chopped off from mommy. And I, you know, one day, maybe on the other end of it, as pure nothing jelly, I'll be like, I'm glad I got chopped off of the big mommy. Life itself.
Yeah.
Life. Well, I have some friends. Shout out to our listener in Ethiopia, actually. K-Town. That's a real
I know the one.
You know the one. Special. He or his sister said, whatever's after this, it's got to be better than this. And they just really believe that, and I was like,
I hope so.
I was like, it could totally be worse than this.
It could. That's like,
but it's so true.
Yeah, well, that's the horror of infinite possibilities. It's like, it could be better than this, but it also just as likely could be, God forbid, the same as this or worse than this.
Yeah.
Purgatory.
Yeah. No, it's, I don't know. I think I think it's exciting in a weird way.
Yeah.
Not exciting, but I'm just like they said, like anything has to be better than this. But going back to like the making your meaning or whatever, I think that also along with like free will, like they talk about, I think that the choice, like you can kind of choose how good of a life you live. I mean, that's such a like subjective word. I don't like using that word, but like you can kind of choose what life you live and how much value it gives you, I guess, I believe. And so in that sense, it's kind of like I don't see the logic of so much of the absurd or like nihilism or like believing it doesn't mean anything, because then I feel like that keeps you stuck at like a lower place kind of. Or like a more, you like kind of put boundaries around yourself in a weird way. That's why sometimes I don't get these philosophies, because I feel like they kind of contradict themselves. It's like, no, you have free will, and it mentions like consciousness in like choice and stuff in existentialism, but then it's also kind of like, but still it means nothing. It's like, I feel like you kind of have to, I don't know.
But on the flip side, I feel like it could be even more liberating. Like you would almost feel like you can do anything because nothing really matters. So it's like nothing is
Yeah,
holding you back.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's actually a way like I would like to look at it more, is that like there's kind of meaning in the meaninglessness because it takes the pressure off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's meaning in the Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's why some nihilism can be associated with like hedonism, being really, really reckless and pretty sick. Well, okay, like the things, like thinking about like why I like have been attracted to existentialism, and besides for the questions is, and this could be a partly pathological part of me, a little daddy, vestigial daddy left in my head, but I really believe in like the practical power of placing a lot of responsibility in your own hands. So having to like feeling like the meaninglessness of life, the void of life, which I think is a big part of life, and just the questioning. Like Camus starts with like Aristotle says we are in essence like self-questioning creatures. So I'm always asking like, what's the point? Usually the answer that comes back is not a lot. So I look for a point. It's like, yeah, it's pretty much over. Is how I feel all the time, except for in the morning when I'm getting to work. You know what I mean? 9 to 5ers. Hello. But the emphasis and the importance of like self-responsibility is, I think, empowering. Because a lot of the progress I've made, I mean, like, well, I gotta like, I gotta find something that works. So I really have to like make this meaning, and sometimes I succeed, and it encourages you to look for the places where you do have bad faith in life, like that job. Like, are you just like making a world that's easier for you to live in? And are you like muting like the higher senses of meaning that you have in your head or like are tapped into or something? Or are you just hoping that it'll be better later for no reason? I think it's good. It's good to have a little daddy in your head, as they say.
Yeah.
Punch through to the dawn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Little Keebler elf daddy.
So that's what I like about it. I like the idea that like if there's gonna be any meaning, like in your life, you gotta make it. Which to a certain sense I think is true. To a certain sense I want to get past eventually. But it takes like no matter what, some things do take some choice. And some personhoods become out of choice. Like I say I'm a comedian, which makes me a comedian. It didn't work for... Tried to get a girlfriend that way. I am with... It didn't work. I had to leave. But... So that's why I like it. Helps me get dates.
Yeah.
In conclusion. Really good ones, too. Cool dates.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that. I like that as well. Like you find your meaning. And I think like... the more you kind of open yourself up to that idea, like the more you might be able to find meaning everywhere or in everything kind of in a way. Like if you can create it, if you can like tap into it, it can be anywhere. I don't know.
I guess, okay, a question I have for you guys is then, so do you think that, because I'm kind of viewing it as like, kind of a both and situation rather than like an either or as far as faith, because I feel like do you guys feel like as far as making your meaning, like it can only be you making that meaning or only God making that meaning, or is there room for both? Because I feel like as far as like a higher power, it's kind of like a co-creation process of like, because what I've been kind of learning about recently and I resonate with is like the idea that like God or like higher power, universe, matrix is like kind of like has wills and desires for you. So like the things that we desire and will for ourselves maybe aren't like the wisest. You know how people talk about the higher self type of thing where it's like the higher power out there has a better idea of what you might actually need. And so your life is kind of spent trying to decipher what your higher self or higher power wants for you, and then like bringing that in through your action and your morals and your consciousness and your intention.
So I think
I can't tell if I'm confusing. I'm
no.
this right? Okay.
I think this will okay. Yeah, so you sort of think it's like or like there's the question of whether it's a co-creation, because I think most people,
it's like a collaboration.
Yeah, on the so it's like in the what's the movie? It's like Ghost or something where she's like spinning the wheel.
Spinning the wheel.
Wait. Okay.
Is Demi Moore in that?
It's the one, and then there's like the ghost comes up behind her, and like he's spinning the wheel too. It's like Patrick Swayze or something.
Oh yeah.
What?
You know what I mean?
I
That
yeah,
scene where they're
Moore.
spinning it together.
Never seen it.
That's like
I
God,
know the
but
wheel.
then that's like theistic existentialism. The other existentialism, no Patrick Swayze. I don't know if I have the movie name right
shame.
or the actor.
Okay,
or
no, yeah,
anything,
that
but
is
everyone
right.
knows
Ghost
what I'm
with
talking
Patrick
about.
Swayze.
So it
yeah.
is
Okay,
a
perfect.
co-creation belief, the monotheistic one.
Yeah, if you believe in God,
Okay.
then it is. But then you still
Well,
have
if God
some
is Patrick
responsibility.
Swayze.
And it's
Yeah,
a
I got lost in the
responsibility.
wheel for a second.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't know. Because, you know what, I got to say, a lot of the time it feels like I'm carrying the team in terms of making meaning in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's me and God, I'm like, I'm really fucking putting my shovel down. And he's like,
God,
storm.
you're picking up all of God's slack.
That's
I see.
how it feels in my adolescent stage of spirituality. I'm like, God
Okay.
damn it.
Well, I
like
think
you,
that
but
that is again where the consciousness and like dimensionality comes in, because it's like, you know, if you think about it as like a connection, like you have to foster that through faith, you know? So it's like, that's why it's a collaboration. It's not just something that's going to like drop in your lap, I think. So I think it is a practice if you are choosing to like co-create with something higher than you. You have to have a relationship with that thing, you know?
I kind of feel like we are our own higher power. I think I kind of touched on this earlier, but like I don't think it's really a collaboration. Like I think it's like it is just self-driven. Like if we keep doing the work to like self-actualize or whatever, like then we will reach new heights, and like we'll continue learning, and like we are fostering that like growth and that whatever it might be. But like I don't necessarily think it's like a collaboration with like a higher power or like something outside of ourselves. Like I think it's all being done. It's self-work, I think.
Yeah.
That personally, that's how I feel. Like I think.
Oh,
no, you go.
I was just going to ask, would you agree because do you subscribe to like ascension? Like that was kind of what I was getting from that, like raising yourself up kind of.
Yes.
Okay. So like raising your consciousness or vibration to like ascend. Would you agree then that like the higher power could be your higher self? If it's a self journey?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I think that's what you're tapping into when you choose to like better yourself or make yourself more awakened, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're tapping into like a higher version. Yeah,
exactly.
Like a higher vibrating version of yourself, I guess.
Because that's where like dimensions come in for me. I feel like I explained it so poorly in the beginning that like that's kind of where it comes in, where it's like you can be in different places at once, kind of. Time isn't linear. It's like folding in on itself all the time. So like that's where the higher self concept comes in for me, where it's like a different version of myself could exist on a different plane of consciousness, if you will.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get
it's
that.
like, you know, like the infinity symbol. How it's like, it's one little strip, like a Mobius strip or whatever, but it's like curled. But if you drew a line, it would go like up and around, even though it's like a straight piece of paper that's just like twisted. This is like so hard to describe on a podcast.
It's like a fourth dimensional time worm.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like folding in on itself. So like that's kind of
JP,
you nailed that.
Thoughts?
Time
Let's
worm
get the
is
Ouija board out.
you know, you can display like a 3-dimensional shape on a 2-dimensional plane by like drawing it, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
like, you can draw a cube.
Mm-hmm.
So you can also draw your life, which is a fourth in just a sort of scientific way, 4-dimensional entity, which is like length, width, height, time. So that's what a time worm is.
Harry?
If you just draw it, and you're a little worm because it traces like where your body is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that movie Limitless where he's like racing all around the,
Mm-hmm.
Are my references landing
No,
really
I don't
hard?
know, but I'm gonna agree.
Yeah.
Ghost, Limitless.
So anyways,
Patrick
that's a time
Swayze.
worm. It's just like a solid block of you and everywhere your body goes throughout your life. It's like it's like a literal.
It's time.
It's like cheese. It's literally time, yeah.
Wait, do you
String
know,
cheese incident.
have you looked into string theory or like any quantum physics?
A little bit.
I'm dabbling right now, and I think it's really interesting.
Wow,
But
foreshadowing.
But like the dimensions, it's fucking crazy. What?
Foreshadowing, I said.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
wait,
I
wow,
would
it's
love.
already almost been an hour.
Quantum daddies, matrix mommies.
Do we have any final thoughts, I guess?
I think that I still want there to be something. I want there to be something after I die. I sometimes feel like I'm pulling all the weight with me and God, and
Patrick Swayze isn't doing enough.
And Patrick Swayze is I'm searching for Patrick. Name of my new novel.
I wish I knew these fucking movies.
Tinder
I'm so bad at
bio
references.
searching for Patrick. Yeah. So that's my wrap up.
All
He
those
is
muscles
dead.
and all that core power, and he's not lifting his weight. That's terrible.
I know. He's built like a rock.
R.I.P. Patrick, man.
Rest in Patrick.
Yeah, rest in Patrick.
All right. Well, I guess
What are your final thoughts? Give it
My
a
final
wrap it
thoughts,
up in Saran.
I think it's absurd that these two men put so much energy into trying to find meaning in this fucking world, but but maybe that just reflects how I feel. I don't know. I think our meaning is just to live life and be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. What does that mean? I don't know. God damn it. I just feel like I'm stuck in a loop. Okay. Those are my final thoughts.
My
Thank you,
final
Maddie.
thoughts are I think that, first of all, I think it goes hand in hand that these men had the upbringings they did and the philosophies they have. And also, I think that there is meaning, and I think the meaning is kind of mundane, and I think it's within just like the connection we all have and like how kind of miraculous existence is just scientifically. But and yeah.
And the whole world should just take mushrooms.
Oh, there you go. In essence, smoke DMT. Sponsored by DMT.
Rogan.
Sponsored by God is a
Joe
Time
Rogan's
Worm
DMT.
LLC. Yeah.
We should honestly, I would love to discuss some like quantum physics.
Okay.
Maybe
Well,
we will do it next time.
dude. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
assign us some homework.
season 2, episode 1, the PowerPoint begins.
Oh,
episode
season
2,
2,
return of the PowerPoint. I know this is season 2.
Welcome to season 2.
Welcome to season 2.
And we'll see you in the next
dimension.
Which is about 5 weeks. We're time worms. We're sorry. All right, see ya. Bye.
5 weeks or 2 days. Doesn't matter.
Boo-boos.
Boop.
Boo-boos.
Boop.
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 No.
Every philosophy major knows that one.